My 24 female boyfriend, 24 male, wants me to lie and say it was me driving my car when actually it was him who had a single car accident. If it's proven it's him, he will probably lose his car insurance. I want to help him but don't know what to do. Original post. Earlier this morning, we were coming back from a party in my car, and my boyfriend was speeding and absolutely plowed into parked cars on the street in front of a donut shop. My car is totaled, and the other 2 cars probably are as well. The cops showed up in record time, and while we were separated, he told them it was me who was driving. The donut shop apparently had video and caught the whole thing. They told him that the video seemed to show him driving, but it wasn't clear, so they would take his word for it. The cops then wrote me 3 tickets for speeding, losing control of a vehicle, and reckless driving. I was so in shock that I didn't even know what to say, so I just signed the tickets. We got an Uber home and got into a huge fight, and I was just exasperated that he would do this to me. He reminded me that if he took responsibility for the accident, he would lose his job, and his car insurance would become unaffordable, so he wouldn't be able to get to work. I told him that my car is now gone, and my rates are going to skyrocket. He promised me he would buy me a new car and also help with my increased insurance rates. The accident was about 6 hours ago, and I still haven't called my insurance company to report it. Of course, the other 2 people whose cars were totaled have probably called, so my insurance likely already thinks I caused the accident and is preparing to raise my rates going forward. I'm so angry, and I have no idea what to do. I don't want my boyfriend to lose his job, but I also don't want to be screwed over because he was driving recklessly. I would really appreciate any advice. Now for the top advice before reading the update. No, do not go along with this at all. I'm an insurance adjuster, so here are the consequences for you, assuming this is in the US. 1. Your car, your insurance, is primarily responsible for the damages, injuries, etc., even if he was driving. By lying about who was driving, you are committing insurance fraud. This is a crime that can range from a misdemeanor to a felony, and they will prosecute you and your boyfriend. 2. When you're found to be committing insurance fraud, they will drop you. And you will have a hard time getting insurance because your name will go into a national database for fraudulent items. Forget high rates. Worry about being insurable at all. 3. If you're caught lying to your insurance company about fraud, they can deny your entire claim. All of it. Do you want to be responsible for paying for your car and 2 other cars? 4. Lying to the police can lead to charges for both you and him for filing a false report. Your boyfriend did this, so it's his responsibility to face the consequences, and they're going to be severe if you go along with his lie, especially if there's even vague video evidence. Clear this up immediately with the police, your insurance company, and try to get a copy of that video. And ditch the lying boyfriend. Am I screwed because I signed the tickets? I was so in shock at what was being told to me, I signed them without even realizing what I was doing. Honestly, I don't know. Call the officer who wrote them and ask. As I said, if they were suspicious already, that will work in your favor. But don't sit and think about it. Just fix it now. Why on earth would you cover for and love someone who has demonstrated complete and utter disregard for you? You do realize that covering for him is illegal, right? You've also set a precedent that his comfort and well-being are more important than yours. He shouldn't make you pay for his crime. It's his fault and his mess. Are you seriously going to let this giant mistake ruin your life and your insurance rates? Not to be a nag, but why were you 2 operating a vehicle in that condition? An Uber would have been smarter and cheaper. He claims he wasn't drunk. I don't drink but was tired, so I was trying to sleep on the way home. How much did he drink during the party? Did he eat and switch to water or coffee an hour or more before you guys left? Do you have the money to pay for the damages to the other people's property? Being tired is just as bad as being drunk. Also, what are you gonna do now that you don't have a car? I'm not sure. We stayed at a party until about 8 a.m. and I had been ready to leave at midnight. But he wanted to hang out with his friends. I fell asleep in a guest room around 3, so I'm not sure what he did after that. All I know is around 8, he woke me up to go home. And about 15 minutes later, while I was sort of dozing in the car, I woke up to my side of the car being smashed in around me. If he breaks up with you, do you have others who can help ferry you around? Do you make enough to cover restitution on your own, along with rent and day-to-day living expenses? Also, since it's unclear if you'll come clean, do you make enough to cover all of this plus the increased insurance cost when you eventually get a new car, factoring in at-fault increase of hitting multiple cars? I ask because my mother once made sure to pursue an 8th-time drunk driver for totaling her car. If you take the fall, you'll be covering expenses for your car, person 1's car, and a person 2's car. No, not at all. I'm pretty broke and my parents hate my boyfriend so much. And that I'm with him, they have more or less written me off. So I don't even really have a place to go if I dump him, let alone all the stuff you are talking about. Now for the update. So basically, at the advice of this thread, I stopped posting and called my mom and dad, who I really hadn't spoken to since I moved in with boyfriend, and said I was leaving him. I was scared and begged to be picked up. This was about 1:30 a.m. They said they would be over right away. I had locked myself in the bathroom and my boyfriend must have heard me making the call because he started trying to beat the door down and I was terrified. When the door didn't go down easy, I could hear him smashing things out in the living room of the apartment and kitchen. I stayed on the phone with my mom while my dad called 911 on his phone. I stayed locked in the bathroom and he occasionally would try to break the door down and again. All this time I was crying and so freaking scared, and he was screaming and calling me every name in the book. We have neighbors with kids, and I heard the kids wake up and start crying. And then I'm pretty sure I heard one of the dads beating on our front door telling boyfriend to shut up. Cops showed up just before my parents and immediately put him in handcuffs and put him on a couch, and started taking statements from me and the neighbors. I came out of the bathroom and he looked like a raging chained up psychopath. Everything, and I mean everything in our apartment is destroyed. Walls, plates, pictures, TV, Xbox, ironing board, chairs. My clothes were thrown over the balcony. My makeup was mashed against the wall, and stuffed animals I was given as a baby were ripped apart. I have no idea how long it was, but it was crazy he did so much damage in such a short period of time. My dad and my mom showed up and my mom started bawling because she hadn't seen me in so long, and my dad looked like he wanted to end my boyfriend. But with the police there, he composed himself really well. We had to stay during the time the police took everyone's statement. It was clear he was going to be arrested for a ton of stuff. I started telling them what caused all this and the story from earlier in the morning. So the officer asked me to get the tickets, and it turns out the officer who wrote the tickets this morning is the guy from the night incident's direct supervisor. So they're going to talk today and if need be, maybe go back to the donut place and look at the footage. Then the worst thing of all happened. My mom was standing sort of by the door as they were taking boyfriend out in handcuffs. My mom gave him a really nasty look and he said something like, "If she goes home with you, you'll just have another who blows her brains out." My older brother ended himself when he was 17 and I was 10. My mom has never gotten over it. Neither have I really. My mom reached out and slapped him as hard as she possibly could. So then the police had no choice but to arrest her as well. They were nice about it and loosely handcuffed her and took her to one of the squad cars. So I got dressed and tried to pack up and salvage whatever I could while my dad went down to bail out my mom. One of the 3 police stayed in a parking lot in his car, just in case any of boyfriend's boys showed up while I got what I could. My mom was in and out pretty quickly and is facing a misdemeanor battery charge which will probably go nowhere. But as you can imagine, while my parents were very happy to get me, they were extremely angry at what had transpired not only yesterday, but the last 6 months or so. I have a very long road ahead to repair the relationship with them. My dad has been mostly silent, but he did take me to the family attorney so he could start working on the stuff from the accident. He said it shouldn't be too hard to get me out of the tickets, and women especially take the fall for husbands or boyfriends' accidents way more often than you would think. I will probably still have to show up for court, but by that time, the investigation to show my boyfriend was the one really driving should be concluded and I will be dismissed. However, the thing that really sucks is that my state is a permissive use state, meaning that my insurance has to cover anyone who is driving my car. There is a good chance that my insurance company will fight it out with its company for overall liability, and it won't be as bad. But I'm still going to take a massive hit on car insurance premiums for a long time. Another good thing is the lease to the apartment is totally in his name, so I won't be responsible for any damages there. Plus, I didn't do anything to put holes in walls, and I can just walk away from that. This whole thing sucks so much, because even after all that happened, and as crazy as he knows, I know I still have feelings for him that I need to get in serious therapy right away to start dealing with. I can't have someone so destructive in my life who was willing to let me take the fall for all his crap and then scare the life out of me and threaten me. This is the third or fourth story I recall, where OP said they couldn't contact their parents because they cut ties due to significant other, but when OP calls, parents come immediately. I bring this up only to say, if anyone reading this finds themselves in a similar position, please do contact your parents. Obviously not if you had no contact because parents were toxic or abusive though. Chances are they've been hoping for the "I'm leaving my significant other" help call for a while. My ex-girlfriend beat the heck out of me outside a nightclub so badly I lost a tooth. I called my mom in hysterics about 1 a.m., and she was out the door heading my way in seconds. My mom is an amazing woman who always told me no matter what, she would be there if I needed her. Sorry for the ramble. This post brought back some not-so-fun memories. My aunt was in an abusive marriage and she cut her parents, my grandparents, and the rest of her family out of her life for a bit. One phone call for help, and everyone who could drove hundreds of miles to pack up everything she owned in that house, get her in with an attorney, find a storage facility for her furniture, told her work what was going on and help her give notice, and move her back in with her parents all in one day and all while the guy was at work. A lot of people are against stepping back from abuse victims, but sometimes you really need to for your own sanity. It's important to let them know that you'll still be there if they are willing to leave, but you aren't willing to stay involved in the day-to-day. Oh, thank God she left him. She really thought settling for an abusive prick like this was better than being alone? Did she even really love him, or did she just not want to be lonely? Abusive relationships are not always easy to leave. Last story. My wife accidentally traumatized our daughter. My wife and I made a mistake of getting married too young, so she constantly stressed with our daughter and chores. I don't help enough, so after work, the only thing I have time to do is make dinner and do laundry, while my wife has to do all of the hard stuff alone. She's always throwing this in my face, and most of the time I can accept it since it's a valid argument, but sometimes I just lose my patience and yell back. Last week was one of those times and I said something really hurtful, and she started smacking me, and I try to sit down because it usually makes her less angry. And then she just starts choking me. I can't remember if I tried to get away or if she pushed me. Either way, she told me I hit my head on a counter and then the floor and I passed out. My daughter was in the room and saw everything. She had never seen my wife hurt me in any way, so she was hysterical when I woke up because she thought I was gone. Things have been pretty neutral between me and my wife these past few days, but daughter hasn't moved past it. She keeps looking at the bruises on my neck and she follows me everywhere when I'm home. I know my wife feels like a horrible mother now, and my daughter won't talk to her unless it's necessary. I'm so afraid that this will become a core memory for her. Why did I even argue? I feel like such a crappy dad for not being able to keep my wife stable, but I'm just afraid of her and she knows it. I love my wife despite everything, but I don't know if my daughter will ever see us as truly happy together after this. Edit? I know rationally it's bad, but I've always been a dependent person, so I'm still holding on to the loving part of her, and I guess now it's gotten to the point where I feel like it's just part of being married to her. I'm going to try to answer some questions, but I don't want to be too long or too graphic. I might have a picture of a slap from years ago when it first started that I sent to my sister. But for some reasons, we don't talk, and I never did that again. I decided to take the advice here and take a picture of my neck, but as of right now, I haven't reported anything. Sorry. I also had people ask what the documented issues were. It's mostly being forcefully committed and multiple self-harm and attempts to end things from my teenage years, so as recently as 2 years ago, as well as an anxiety and disorder I refused further treatment for. I guess I'm not always the most mentally stable, and I can still work with medication, but on paper, it just looks really bad. Sir, you are being mistreated. You are also blaming it on yourself, common for domestic violence victims. Your entire post is excusing your wife's behavior. And this is a common occurrence because you know ways to calm her down. I'll give you the same advice I would give a wife being treated this way by a man. Leave. Take your child and leave. Visitation can be worked out later, but for now, both of you need to leave. File a police report and a restraining order. Then file for divorce. She didn't push you a little or smack your shoulder. She choked you unconscious, leaving bruises. And your daughter witnessed it. This has to end. Hopefully your wife will seek treatment and become a better person, but you can't wait around for that to happen. Once DV escalates to choking, I think it's 750% higher risk of being unalived by your partner. And leaving him there until he wakes up instead of calling an ambulance? That's insane. It is insane. But we know why she left him there. If she called an ambulance, they would want to know what happened to him, at least in order to know what treatment he needed. She might lie to their faces, but I bet the daughter wouldn't. Domestic violence has a tendency to escalate. Please plan a safe escape for you and your daughter. Your wife sounds like a monster. From here on out, the most likely cause of your passing is your wife. She needs actual help. DV is never okay, but you don't choke someone unless you want them gone, even if it's only momentarily. Right now, you're fine. But what about next time? Make no mistake, there will be a next time. This broke a seal. Figure out someone you trust and tell them what happened in writing. Include pictures of any injuries if possible. Unfortunately, you're a man, I'm presuming, so it may be a bit more difficult finding DV resources for you, as well as being incredibly difficult to get police to take you seriously should it come to that. So I'd start preparing now to leave at a moment's notice, even if you plan on counseling. Be safe, OP.